Who is the creature in the tank that escapes at the end of Season 1? Resident Evil Explored. Everyone knows Resident Evil is primarily known for two consistent things: hair-raising zombies and insane plot twists. Well, speaking of Andrew Dabb's Resident Evil, which is officially streaming on Netflix right now, Season 1 does have its fair share of gore and terrors. We are specifically talking about dreadful abominations, and all courtesy to the famous T-virus. Of course, this brings us to the main content of today's video. Who might be the creature in the water tank that is shown to break free in the Season 1 finale? It is in the beginning of Episode 8, titled Revelations, after Bert is brought back to Evelyn, that she tells him that Umbrella needs his help on their new project. She is seen stating the project is important, and telling Bert that if he does a good job, not only will he get a house of his own, one with his preferred green grass and white picket fence, but he will also have the twins Jade and Billie stay with him like a happy family. She eventually shows Bert Him, the special project that he will be working on. We get to see a man inside a solitary specimen tank, one that appears to be already mutated. Did you see the size of his giant claws? If you ask us, we think the claw part is where a regular human being's fingertips should have been. It is only fair to call him a creature because he definitely looks like one more than he looks human. Anyway, it is also the same man creature whose contorted hand, the one with the humongous nails, is seen to emerge from the blown up facility's debris, clearly indicating whatever it is that was kept in the tank has survived, and is bound to reappear in full fashion in Season 2. Now, given that the real identity of the creature was never really disclosed in the first season, we do have a list of contenders. Yes, you heard that absolutely right. What we have with us is a list with every member on it, giving us some pretty strong hints about them being Evelyn Marcus' secret project. Well, without any further delay, let us get on with today's video straight away then. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Tyrant. Now, there's a high chance that the creature, which is finally introduced to us in the Season 1 finale, is none other than the Tyrant, or as showrunner Andrew Dabb pointed out in an interview earlier, a character that falls into kind of the Tyrant category. Well, speaking of the Tyrant, the character made its debut in the original Resident Evil video game back in the year 1996, and since then has categorically been one of the most popular antagonists in the whole franchise. There are no two ways about it. Coming back to the creature in the tank that escaped, or let's say the important project as it was being addressed as, the Tyrant is an advanced bioorganic weapon created due to T-virus and the probable cloning of its specimen with the sole purpose of being utilized as super soldiers on the battlefield. Now, this following piece of information is for those of you who are not aware. Please do not confuse a Tyrant with a typical zombie, because unlike the Zeros that have been exhibited here, a Tyrant is shown to be in possession of a certain degree of intelligence. This is precisely why they are chosen to do the job in the first place. Now, when we take a closer look at the possible Tyrant on display, it most certainly comes under the combat type, which means solely planned for war purposes. Also, if we are not wrong, it is quite tall for its size, deformed, and let's not forget, naked. Well, as a standard effect of T-virus infection, a Tyrant is usually seen to experience an augmented human growth hormone, further indicating that the shortest Tyrant will usually stand at a height of 7 feet, while the tallest one will attain around 12 feet. Mind you, a Tyrant is a physical presence, one that is exceedingly hard to be matched. Right from boasting the ability to leap to extreme heights, flip over tanks for that matter, redirect rockets, or in some cases, even burst through concrete, is particularly known for its incredibly enhanced strength levels. Putting further stress on a combat-type Tyrant, it is often seen to experience an extended arm growth. You know, one of the hands resulting in a claw that is capable of causing extensive damage. We are talking about humans getting impaled, or let's say being literally held up by these powerful claws. It is true that we did not get a proper look at the creature in action in the first season, but having said that, you have to be on board with us when we tell you that there were quite a bit of hints, subtle of course, about a Tyrant throughout the entire season. Given that the creature is seen to survive the explosion in the season finale, there is no stopping this one from appearing in the second season. Also, just imagine if it is a super Tyrant, all hell is bound to break loose, and looking at the events of the 2036 timeline, it surely looks like we're headed towards that direction. William Birkin. If you're wondering why William Birkin, well, to be really honest here, based on the very fleeting look that one gets of the creature inside the water tank, there is a high possibility that it is the former virologist of Umbrella Corporation, or in other words, the one accountable for the development of the Golgotha virus. Once a regular human being, but after he injected himself with the G virus, Birkin altered into a forever changing, hideous-looking monster. We know what you're thinking, and we agree that there has not been any direct mention of the G virus in the series, but it is the inclusion of the character Lisa Trevor, even if it is in the form of a classified footage, that has led us to thinking that we cannot really disregard Birkin. After all, those of you who are familiar with the video game will be aware that the game shows Lisa infected with the G virus. Believe us when we tell you that Lisa looks completely identical to her video game counterpart. We are stressing on her being chained up, hideously deformed, hunched back, and yes, there is a giant eyeball on her back. Anyway, coming back to the possibility of the confined and escaped creature being William Birkin here, let us elucidate you why we think so. There is no denying that Birkin's got a couple of mentions by Albert Wesker in the season, so this just cannot be a coincidence, can it? We know that we have physically not seen him, but ask yourself if you are ready to let go of the probability that the creature in the solitary specimen tank is Dr. Birkin from his early phases of his mutation from the G virus. We know we can't for sure. Take a closer look with us at the monstrous hand, especially the one with the big claws. That pretty much looks like Birkin to us from his second form, where he not only becomes taller, but his right arm also has these threatening-looking claws, a lot similar to the Tyrant, with T-Virus being introduced in the first season of Resident Evil, and indirect hints towards the very existence of the Golgotha virus. We are screaming Lisa Trevor here. Like it or not, William Birkin somehow fits the shoe eerily well. But of course, Resident Evil fans will have to wait patiently for Season 2 to confirm things.
Wake. Who are you?
James Marcus. Before we get into this part, it is important for all of us to be on the same page with how the episode 3 titled The Light begins. It starts with a PR video for Umbrella stating how the company, which was plagued by illegal scandals and falling stock prices, is now trying to reconstruct itself with a major push into direct-to-consumer drugs. While the critics believe that the company's operating at a perilous burn rate, Umbrella's gambling big on the move, and all thanks to the newly minted CEO, Evelyn Marcus. She is seen talking about her family business while particularly specifying that she is here to turn things around, and unlike her father, who made his share of mistakes, she is quite determined to change the world with things that the company is presently working on. No points for guessing Evelyn Marcus happens to be the very daughter of Dr. James Marcus, one who certainly does not need an introduction. Now, we all know Dr. Marcus was one of the founders of Umbrella, and the one accountable for the creation of the T-Virus. The fact that he was a perfectionist became the primary concern, because he became absolutely gripped with his research, which seemed a never-ending process. So much so that he literally went to an extent where he started using children, illegally may we add, in his research. We are stressing on children being used as test subjects and subjected to extreme levels of unimaginable horrors. Anyway, post his activities getting exposed, he became a threat to the company, to its very reputation, and as a result was stripped of his share of responsibilities. But he continued experimenting, which is why James had to be gunned down, and his body was later dumped in a nearby treatment plant along with his unwanted specimens. This is where things get interesting. If you remember Queen Leash, the final creation of Dr. Marcus before his death, it was dumped along with the doctor's corpse. Of course, it saw the body as its food source, and no points for guessing, began to devour it, thereby gaining his memories after it ate the brain. It is only fair to say that Queen Leash, post everything, believed itself to be Dr. Marcus, reanimated by some kind of a seemingly miraculous turn of events. Within the time span of 10 years, it even changed its body shape into that of Dr. Marcus, eventually becoming a hybrid, and went on to wreak complete havoc in order to avenge his death. Now, coming back to the part where it is a possibility that the creature in the tank may be James Marcus, it only makes sense for Evelyn to store her father in the solitary specimen tank and carry ahead his legacy. If you ask us, we are okay with the source being original and a bit tweaking if needed. But imagine if this actually happens to be the very case. It would be so interesting to see the course of events. Fingers crossed for Resident Evil Season 2. Well, with this, we have come to the end of our video. So, who do you think is the creature in the tank that escaped? We would love to know your views. Please do not hesitate to hit us with your thoughts in our comments section. Till then, Stay tuned with us for more interesting content on Resident Evil. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.